So welcome everybody, and December's Mastermind Turn It Up a Notch. I know a lot of you are on here this month. A lot of people had reached out to me prior and said that you were looking forward to this because there is a lot of, and I talked about this on my Turn It Up a Notch Tuesday this week. There's a lot of an I want to finish mentality. I want to finish, and people are tired. And right now, it's all about having the I want to win mentality and really focusing in on going all the way through the finish line. And a way to do that when you're having conversations with people, if you're in the sales business at all, or conversation with people, is that, hey, we're rocking all the way through the holiday season. And you know what? Hey, the reason I'm giving you a call right now is a lot of people are kind of shutting down, and we're actually rocking right now. And people our best clients are making their decisions right now for next year. And I often tell people to think about that right now is we're going to set some goals, but what's our goals between December and the end of January? And we're like on a 50 to 60 day game plan right now so that we don't really stop going all the way through the holidays. Now, granted, I'm not crazy. I'm not foolish, guys. I know what religion you are. I mean, whether you're Jewish and have Hanukkah, whether you're Christmas and celebrate Christmas, and some of you celebrate the New Year's. I'm not stupid to think that we're not still going to have fun over the holidays. But some people mentally slow it down and already are thinking holidays, and they cut it a little bit short. They take days off. And I got to tell you, that can affect up to 1/6 of your year. And the people that have the mentality of, no, I'm going to have the very best December that I've ever had. I'm going to have the very best January that I've ever had. We're like, as a company, Southwestern Consulting, we're rocking right now because we all have the mentality of we're finishing strong. And that's how you should be too. You should be thinking, who can I talk to right now to set things up for next year? Who can I talk to that absolutely wants to get better and wants to build their life, their business, or wants to be happy, depending on what it is that you're selling. And it could be something as simple as ice cream. It could be something as simple as a strategy, a process, because I know many of you on this sell different things. And the whole idea is that we're not giving the excuse that it's cold or it's the holidays or people are off work. We are on fire. How are you? I'm great, man. Business is rocking. Everybody's great around the holidays, and we're having our best weeks ever and finishing strong. And that means more dials, more contacts, more people. And what's that going to be for you? Now, remember, when you're in Mastermind, what we include in Mastermind is the opportunity to have a one-on-one call with me between. And I do probably 5 or 6 a week with people. And it's just part of the program just to kind of share ideas. And I get people that get stale and they need a little kick in the tail. I have a guy that I spoke with this week. He's insurance. And he said, Gary, I just need a little pick me up. I've been flat. And so we got on the call. We kind of talked about his last 2 weeks. I put him on a plan where he's texting me every day. And his last 3 days have been his best 3 days in 2 months. And because we kind of got refocused, we got a new business plan. And so I want to share with you that you want to have that, and I write this down, and a main thing that we're taking away from this is that you want to have the I want to win mentality rather than the I want to finish. And if your mind isn't right and you're carrying troubles with you right now, and you're carrying stresses and worries and different things in your mind and fears, it's not going to be good. You just need to the only thing usually that gets you out of these struggles is activity and being willing to be accountable to somebody other than yourself to go out and put activity in the right areas. And the worst that can happen usually isn't that bad. So I'll tell you guys a little story that I talk about. It's called the trouble tree. And this is a story, it's a powerful reminder of how letting go of the day is so important. Because we need to let go of the negative stuff, guys, so we can focus on the positive. And every day is a new day. When we arrive home to our families, we should be present with them and leave our work day and the world behind us. This story really helped me when we first started our company several years ago, Southwestern Consulting, and it still helps me today. It's called the trouble tree. The carpenter I hired to help me restore an old farmhouse had just finished a rough first day on the job. A flat tire made him lose an hour of work. His electric saw quit. And then his old pickup truck refused to start. As I drove him home, he sat in stony silence. On arriving at his house, he invited me in to meet his family. As we walked toward the front door, he paused briefly at a small tree, touching the tips of the branches with both hands. When he opened the door, he underwent an amazing transformation. His tanned face was wreathed in smiles as he hugged his two small children and gave his wife a kiss. Afterward, he walked me to the car. We passed the tree, and my curiosity got the better of me, and I asked why he stopped, touched the tree. Oh, I'm glad you asked me. That's the trouble tree, he replied. I know I can't help having troubles on the job. One thing's for sure, troubles don't belong in the house with my wife and children. So I just hang them up on the tree every night when I come home. Then in the morning, I pick them up again. The funny thing is, he smiled. When I come out in the morning to pick them up, there aren't nearly as many as I remember hanging up the night before. And this author's unknown, but it's a story I've known for years. And everybody needs a trouble tree. But what is it that you're going to do to leave your troubles outside the house? And when you come into the home, you're happy. Then when you come back the next day and you go to work and you know what we want to do at Southwestern Consulting is take the troubles that you have at work and make them not troubles anymore. And hopefully these trainings that we're doing with you here will help you. You'll take advantage of calling me in between and I can give you advice. And then as you all know, we're a consulting company and we do all sorts of things, from training, consulting, coaching, webinars, all sorts of things to customize for a company to get them where they want to go. And so today, I thought it would be kind of cool because we're closing the year out that we talk about closing. Earlier in the year, I taught another module called Closing for Champions, one of the main keynotes that I do. It's a big one that I do. I just got back from working with a company called Gym Guys, which is another franchise brand. I spoke at their conference, and we taught Closing for Champions. I got back last week from the Bellagio, and we taught on closing again. A second time teaching on closing for those guys. They're into that, and we also talked about turning it up with our closing skills, because you can do everything right, but if you're not closing the deal, it's a challenge. So let's talk about this a little bit. And the first thing that you must do to be a great closer is you must fill your head with positive self-talk. And one of our prior trainings that we did earlier this year, if you remember, was the training on millionaire mindset and positive self-talk. And it's about writing affirmations. And each and every one of you should have affirmations. And if you don't, you need to. And remember, an affirmation is starting with I am. And I am an exceptional leader of a company. I am an exceptional closer. I'm a person that makes 12 calls every day no matter what. I'm a person that is a risk taker. I'm a person that grows 23% every year. Whatever it is that you want to become, you say I am, and you say it over and over and over, 4 to 6 times a day. And the reason you do it, and you do it relentlessly, is because it's physically impossible to say something and then not do it. It's physically impossible to say something and not do it. So that's the first one. If you're not saying this positive self-talk, it's difficult to speak negative in your head and act positive. If you find yourself being too negative, call a champion customer and re-energize yourself. Talk to other colleagues and see what they're doing to stay sharp and positive. Next is visualize success and see yourself making successful closes. Imagine what it will look like and feel like when you're filling out the paperwork. Imagine the exact response your prospect gives you when you ask for the business. Think about what your name looks like on the weekly progress report at work or up on the board as the manager's recognizing success. You know, last week, I traveled with this company called Speed Vegas. It was the very first time we started working with them. And it's a 2-mile racetrack in Las Vegas, 8 minutes off the strip. And you actually go and race and get a driving experience to race different exotic race cars, muscle cars, etc. And I actually got to drive a Lamborghini Huracan at like 165 miles per hour, pretty crazy. But one of their salespeople, so we often, when we start working with a company, the very first way we do it is the first day we go in and it's just an observation day. And we learn their business. And that's all about you. You guys should be doing the same thing in sales. You should be seeking to understand before being understood. Write that one down. Seek to understand before being understood. And so in this day, we did everything from I shadowed them selling. I spent time with their salespeople, spent time with their corporate office, just really learn their business. But one of their salespeople, one of the things we talked about is I wanted you to visualize hitting your goal. And like we literally closed her eyes and we totally walked through what a successful sales would like and what it would feel like on New Year's Eve, December 31st. Of hitting her goal and what it would feel like to wake up the next day and knowing that I hit my numbers in 2017 and then it's not over till it's over and you still have time to hit your numbers. And it was like she said it was so refreshing for her to be able to go through that process. Next is you can never work from a point of desperation. And often people do, okay, because they've never taken the time to fully be prepared. So remember, there's fear and confidence. Those are the two emotions that you can have. You can be either extremely fearful, confident, or extremely confident. And the only difference between the two is the level of preparation that you have. And often when people aren't prepared to sell, they don't have the skill sets, they don't have all the proper training, then they're behind and they start acting from a point of desperation. And it's all they can do to stay alive. And people can see that. They can sniff it out. They can see when there's desperation. So the only way to stay ahead is to practice, drill, rehearse. Write that down. PDR, PDR, PDR. Practice, drill, rehearse. Take the content that we've given you, any other content that you can get, and practice, drill, and rehearse it over and over and over again so that you have it at your fingertips so that you come across as confident, not desperate. Desperate is when you're behind and don't know it. Confidence is when you got it and you don't need it. Number 4, reward yourself not just for closing the sale, but for the activity that it took to get to the point of the close of the sale. In other words, reward yourself for making the proper number of calls to get to the demo to finally result in being able to close. So that could be in an outside sales job, where like you're making a certain number of calls to get a certain number of presentations to get a certain number of closes. It could be having to ask a certain number of times to get a certain number of yeses. It could be anything, but what you need to do is you need to take your business and see what are the different parts of your business where you can measure activity that will get you the results. If you do not inspect, write this down, do not expect. And if you're leading an organization where you're leading people, if you're not creating a culture where they're inspecting and you're holding them accountable to inspecting, most people are leading from 30,000 feet above and they're not even keeping track of their activity. And you need to keep track of people's activities so you can praise them when they're doing good, and you can in whatever way you can, if they give you permission to do it, hold them accountable when they're not doing good. And that's including yourself if you're a sole proprietor. Many of you guys on the Mastermind class are just running your own business. You don't manage people, and you're using this to how to grow your own business. But many of you also lead people, and you need to use these principles for your people. Number 5, in order to properly close, you must sell with integrity. And you guys have probably heard this definition before. What you do when nobody's looking always tells the truth. If you never lie, you never have to remember what you said. If you don't know the answer, tell the customer, you'll get back to them rather than making something up. You preserve credibility that day. Now, closing is really important that you're very clear when you close, because law of diminishing intent takes place, and law of diminishing intent means for sure the further away you get from the action, the less likely it is that people will act on it. So if you're not succinct in your presentation and they tell you, I want to think about it, the more they think about it, the less likely it is they'll work with you. Let's just face it. You've got to come back with something new. So it's interesting. You always have to have a new twist when you go back to them a second time. We've been very blessed in the last 6 months, actually 3 months now. We've created a brand new website that has all of our new deliverables in one place. And so we're able to go back to people that we've talked to in the past and say, oh my God, probably the last time we talked about 2/3 of the things that we do, we weren't even able to talk about. And now we can talk about them. And I have done about 70 calls, I'd say, with companies personally in the last 2 or 3 months since our website's been up. And I can't say I've had one that didn't say, oh my gosh, that was a waste of time. And the closing percentage has gone way up because I went back with something new that I wasn't able to show them in the past. And now there's more to show. And when you have more to show, usually something sticks that fits people's needs. So you've got to be very succinct. If you tell things from 30,000 feet above, it's not good. For example, tell them a topic, or in our business, for example, tell them a topic of what you're going to speak on, not succinct. Tell them a topic and then a description of that talk, succinct. Okay? So be succinct when you're closing. Number 7, use the phone. And by the way, as I go through all these, if anybody has any questions or comments, as usual, you can ask me a question. Feel free to chime in. A lot of people feel like more comfortable calling me afterwards, but I have no problem to take a question on the recordings here. Not a problem at all, because often what you're asking, other people are thinking. And at the end, I'll take questions again. Remember, we do send you a recording of this afterwards, so you'll get the recording along with my voice and the PowerPoint going through it. And then Janet, my executive assistant, sent you guys the handout that goes with this, and you'll want to fill in your handout with this recording, and then keep these in a binder so you're building a nice little sales manual, little manual for yourself. So number 7 is use the phone instead of email, and use in person instead of the phone. It's more reliable, and you know you made the contact, and people would much rather deal with a live body. And now I'm using this Zoom platform as often as possible. Typically, 3 out of my 4 contacts in a day will be a Zoom call as opposed to an in-person call. Just a few minutes ago, for example, I had a call with a prospect in Las Vegas, a big hotel there, and I already know the guy, and instead of me just doing a normal conversation with him, we started with a phone call, and I said, are you near your computer right now? And then what I did is I said, I'm going to go ahead and send you an email and send you a Zoom link. And within 2 minutes, we were on the computer, and I was walking him through our website, and he could see me, I could see him. It's like we're in the same room. So do that, because it's much more personal when you're talking to people. And you want to do that in your business. If you can't be in the physical room with them, Zoom them, Skype them, whatever it is, GoToMeeting, where you can see each other. Very powerful. So this is an acronym that's a big one that we use quite a bit, called PLANE. And it's when you're making a call on somebody, a sales call, whether it's in person or a phone call, plan your call, make sure you think through what you're going to do on it, listen to your customer. Remember, 2/3 of the time should be them talking, not you talking. When they're talking, they're buying. Ask high-level questions, not just very low level, like dig deep to their pain. Yak less, let them talk, like I said. Involve them in the process. Not only ask them questions, show them things, turn the book around, have them, turn the computer towards them. How would this relate to your company? Get them involved in talking, not like you talking the whole time. Be able to negotiate, knowing what they're probably going to come back with and how can you negotiate. So definitely read up and study how to negotiate. And then also gain a commitment. At the very least, if they say no, gain a commitment to some next step. Those are things you want to focus on playing. People want to work with people that are confident, know their stuff. Like I said before, first impressions are so important. So do you come across when you're talking to people as someone that knows their stuff? Do you come across as somebody that is reliable? Do you come across as somebody that gets things done? I always tell people that I'd rather be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more persistent than not persistent enough. Because your excitement and enthusiasm sells, guys. It does. You never heard somebody say, I didn't work with them because he was a little bit not excited and enthusiastic enough. Excitement and enthusiasm sells. When you're excited and enthusiastic about what you do and you get results, you've got to do it. That's why if you have some stuff going on in your head and you're not using the trouble tree, you're not getting rid of that before your calls, it's a big mistake. If you don't have affirmations, it's a big mistake you're reading, because our mind, Matthew Ferry is a good friend of mine. He's a big life coach, and he talks about the drunk monkey. And our mind is a drunk monkey. Our mind is a drunk monkey, and it's playing mind with the games with us all the time and saying, don't do that. Oh my God, you can't do that. I can't do that. You shouldn't do that. That costs too much. It's too much of a risk. And wow, they'll think this way of you. Don't do that. And usually that drunk monkey is getting in your way of being successful. And so they want to see confidence, and the confidence only comes with positive affirmations read over and over and over again to then you start believing yourself. The key to making a close that sticks is taking it a step further beyond the mere agreement. Play out with the customer exactly how everything's going to happen. They may need to act by a certain day or pay a certain amount of money under the different guidelines, but very clear on what you're expecting. Now, we have 4 different buying styles. And we taught this earlier in the year on Navigate. And again, if you forgot or you joined us recently, Navigate is our selling to people the way they want to buy rather than the way that we are. And Navigate, there's 4 styles. There's the detectives that need a lot of details, the analyticals. There's the entertainers that are very happy-go-lucky and they have a ton of optimism. They're very much into small talk and getting to know you and like you before they get down to business. There's the fighters that are very assertive and focused and know exactly what they want, and they want to get right down to business, no fluff. And then there's the counselors that are very unhurried, very patient, warm, compassionate, people-oriented type people. So if you're a true master closer, you should be able to close almost every time. The only time you should fail is if they weren't a prospect in the first place. And so get personal in the close by getting into the background of the decision maker and asking how they want to be treated by their boss, or how they originally came to their company, and how important it was to be equipped with the best tools and materials to get the job done. So the more you can dig in to what they want, the more they're going to want to work with you. I think about a presentation I did earlier today, and I asked lots of questions about what they did in the past, what they're currently doing now, what he looks for in training, and what kind of budget that they have, and how do they make their decisions. And if he were to decide to work with us, how would he be perceived by his boss? And if he chooses to work with us and we rock it, what would the rest of the team think? And what would make him feel good at the end of the day if he chose to work with us? And I'm asking him all these questions about working with us so I can dig deep. And he answers them. And it gives you kind of a feeling of, what's going on in his mind. And that's really important when you're trying to close business. So, like I said, in closing, confidence is big, and often simple boldness wins is not giving up. I'm thinking of a couple of huge consulting clients that I have. And one of them took me 2.5 years before I was able to finally work with them. They at one point had 30 locations, and they got to 130 locations, and oh my God, we made a lot of mistakes. We should have worked with you 2 years ago. But I just stayed with them for so long, kept telling them, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I was bold. I was bold telling them because I know it works. But their CEO of their company just 2 weeks ago told me, Gary, thank you for pushing me so much. Thank you for being strong, because we're up 22.8%. You told us we'd be up 23%. We're up 22.8%. And if I wasn't bold, then I would have just said, oh, you know, that's okay. When you're ready, call us. They would not have worked with us because he's a strong, stubborn CEO. Often leaders in companies are strong at what they do, so they're going to be strong. And so if you're not bold, okay, it's not going to be good. All right. So aim high. Aim high. Aim so high to set a goal so clearly beyond yourself or anybody else. Because if you fall a little bit short, you're still going to hit your goal. Remember that a confused person never buys. The slightest misunderstanding can cause the sale to go awry. The buyer will never come out and admit they're dumb or don't understand. Whatever can be misunderstood will be misunderstood. So for sure, be very clear with what you're offering. Don't be confusing. That old expression goes, keep it simple, stupid. So whatever can be misunderstood will be misunderstood. The chief motivations for buyers, this is a big thing, guys. Slide 17. I even tell people to take their phone and take a picture of this slide. Because if you can know what people's motivations are, then you can cater to their motivations. So everybody has these motivations. And I'm thinking of this. You want to gratify some appetite they have. They want admiration of others, health and wealth. They want an opportunity to have fun and amusement. They want safety and security for themselves and their family. And they want value of the product or service that you have. That's their chief motivation. So you should be asking them, okay, do I provide value? Am I going to bring value to their company or them with what we do? Oh yeah, heck, we do at Southwestern Consulting. Safety and security for self and family. Well, I think we do. If I can help, and I'm just kind of walking you through how I think, okay? If we can help them grow 23%, that's helping their family have more security. It's helping families in their company have more security. They're having more security, so I think we do that one. Opportunity for amusement. I know when we train, oh my gosh, when we do stuff for them, it's fun. We do group exercise. We're always looking to make it fun for people and energetic and enthusiastic and all sorts of things that are different. Admiration of others' health and wealth. I want people to look good. That's a big deal. I like my biggest thing that makes me fired up is if someone writes me an email and say, hey man, I grew. I did good. Like that makes me feel good if I can help others feel good. And then gratification of some appetite. I think that people naturally want to get better. I think they naturally want to get better. So everything that we do at Southwestern Consulting is about educating people whatever they need to be educated in. So I'm thinking, what are the motivations for our buyers? I'm thinking in my mind, these are things we offer. Am I sharing this through my presentation? So you need to now take your brand or your company or whatever it is you do, and how do you translate what are the motivations for your buyers, and what are you living into them through what you offer? So just kind of this slide is a big slide. Great closers always try one more time to close. What's the worst they can say? People that know me, that, you know, like I said, some of my clients took 2-3 years before they start working with me, but they always thank me. And they say, I wish I would have started sooner. But they always say, you know, it's good, but I never had anybody say, man, I wish you wouldn't have pressured me so much. I never had that. I've never had that. Either they're too scared to tell me or they're embarrassed. But usually it takes a little bit of nudging to get people over the edge to say, okay, let's do this. And so you should think the same way with your company and your business. And closing isn't just closing a sale, guys. Sometimes if you own a business, closing is closing a concept to your employees or your franchisees or your people to do what you're asking them to do. Closing is asking for a referral. Closing is the next step. Closing is setting an appointment. You're closing an appointment. So don't just think closing is just closing the deal. Closing is everything. So close more earlier, more often, more contacts, more dials. Don't be afraid to get turned down. I can tell you guys, I have gotten turned down. I have gotten people say that I'm too pushy. I have gotten people say it's not a fit for us. But I've got just as many saying, thank you for nudging me. I needed someone to do that. Don't worry about it. I know in my own heart, I come with love. I know in my own heart, I always over deliver. I hate that saying, under promise, over deliver. And I think you guys should eliminate that from your vocabulary, because it should be promise and deliver, and then deliver more than you told them you would deliver. And I always do. So you know what? Be a little bit aggressive and keep asking for the business if you believe your product or service is the best thing. And then once you get the business, man, kill it. You rock it. Help them, service them, do all sorts of cool stuff for them. Be there when they call. Be there when they need your help. Start the day with some sort of positive momentum. Get early morning appointments. Get yes momentum early in the morning. Love sales. It's like a hobby for you. Be a student of the game. You want to spend as much time and keep track of when you're spending time studying. Studying is a huge deal. You know, some of my best students take these recordings and then every week listen to them again. So they listen to me once a month, and then 4 times in the month they listen to the recording. So that's 5 times they're getting the same message, and they listen in their car. So the reason is the law of repetition. So remember, the learning triangle says at the bottom of the learning triangle is willing to be impacted, and it's repetition, then it's utilization, then it's internalization, and it's reinforcement. So the repetition, after you're willing to be impacted, it's the repetition that makes a person really learn it. And it's the repetition that gets it in your mind, and then it becomes an art because you get so good at it. You've heard it so many times, you're able to artistically put together a close that they don't even know it's a technique. That takes time of practicing, drilling, and rehearsing. So you get better with practice, and you must close always and often. And don't worry if it's in the right place, right time or person, just close and use the closes we taught you. Remember, it was Closing for Champions about 4 times ago. You can email me at gmichaels@southwesternconsulting.com, or you can call me at 408-888-4848. If you don't have that module, Closing for Champions, then you have all the closes that are in front of you, and we can help you with that. Recognizing when to close is a big deal. When they make positive comments about your product or service, when they ask very direct questions, when they ask you to repeat something, when they speed up the pace, look at the product or brochure again. You can also tell if they're leaning in, and then you just close everywhere, and you close at the end, but you also trial close every 7 to 10 minutes of a presentation, which is like, are you with me so far? Does that make sense? We're moving in the right direction, etc. Have a sense of urgency to show a busy calendar and let people know that if you don't work with us, you risk price going up. Like I know, for example, our business one-on-one consulting and our coaching has a slight increase come January 1. So I'm letting people know now, if you're going to do it, and that's with our products and services, that's typical. Let's talk about it now in December, because that slight increase over 12 months is a significant amount. So let's talk in December when we're budgeting and setting goals for things. So do create some sort of sense of urgency if there is a legitimate reason. Don't make something up just to create a sense of urgency. So there we have it. I wanted to let you guys know that closing is an art. Closing is a skill set. Closing is a technique, but you have to have the mentality around it. I want to remind you guys that you can go directly to our website, southwesternconsulting.com. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. You can email me at gmichaels@southwesternconsulting.com. My name's there, and you also can call me, again, at 408-888-4848. I do, as I said, as part of your monthly investment in this class, you have full access to me to call with questions, ideas, And some people haven't taken advantage of it even one time, and I have others that call me all the time, and we share ideas. So I want to open up before we wrap up today. I want to open up the floor for questions, comments about closing. Anything that you want me to shed some light. It doesn't even have to be about closing. If you got a deal you're working on or anything that you want to get some suggestions on, I'm here for you. Okay, then. Remember, we'll have the review conference call in 2 weeks. And until next time, guys, remember to turn it up a notch. Just have an amazing December, guys. Finish strong, and use these principles that we're sending out to you every month. I can't tell you, I get several emails that I'm using this. It's starting to make sense because I hear you every month, Gary. I listen to the recordings in my car. I'm on your update calls. I'm doing this stuff, and it's working. And then I get people that say, I haven't been listening to it that much. And then I say, go back. I'm telling you, block off a day on your calendar and listen to them all. And then they say, you're right. I listened to all of them on Saturday, and I'm back in the game. So make sure you take advantage of this stuff. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.